Hey, what's going on, guys? Just came back from the gym, and I said I would record another video, but I didn't really even get into my topic of like losing 500 grand from the inauguration, which I did. But fast forward a few weeks later, as you can see, the stock market has recovered all its losses, and we're basically flat for the year. The S&P 500 and the Nasdaq and stuff. So the title, I know it seems like I'm like flip flopping, but hit a pretty good milestone. I hit 1 million in my portfolio. That's in my regular taxable brokerage and Charles Schwab, also combined with my Coinbase account, my crypto holdings. Oh yeah, I hit 1 million. But the funny thing is, I'm not even that excited or happy about it. Whereas, when I was down 500K, I was down in the dumps. My wife was saying I look like a sack of shit, and I'm like, basically non-functioning. Um, yeah, it's funny though. The lows are lows, the highs are high, but it's weird. It's like, what's the word? Melancholy. I don't feel that much. I think it's because $1 million, as I know it's a lot of money. I know I'm gonna. Some people see this, they're gonna be like, "This guy's a dickhead," but it's $1 million is not what it used to be. Like I can't retire. I still have to keep working, even though I have this huge windfall of money, and I'm grateful for this money. But again, $1 million is not what it used to be, and I have a ton of high expenses. I live in a high cost of living area. I have a lot of obligations with family members and stuff. I mean, if you're Asian, you know what I'm talking about. Asian parents, traditional parents, they don't save for retirement, so their kids are their retirement. There's a Fed meeting today, or a conference, I'm sorry, with Jerome Powell, and you're going to hear me talk about it a lot, but the Fed is something you guys have to pay attention to. These guys are the ones that create these artificial boom bust cycles in our economy. So real quick, what is the Fed? It's a group of central banks around the globe. It's very misleading because the title is Federal Reserve. It makes you think that it's a government entity, but it's not. It's just a group of global banks that like to fuck with us. And back in COVID, they printed a shit ton of money. And starting 2022, they did quantitative tightening, QT, and they raised interest rates and they suck liquidity out of the system. That's why you saw these huge corrections, and we had that short bear market in 2022. And fast forward to today, the M2, they call it the M2 money supply is going up. That usually coincides with crypto going up. And that's why the stock market's going up too. But they like to focus, they have a dual mandate: inflation and jobs. And it's all bullshit. I'll just say it straight up. Like inflation, they say, oh, we must fight inflation. They fail to mention that they were the freaking assholes who caused this ridiculous inflation. Inflation is transitory. Let's keep printing money. That's what they did for over a year. And then, it just eroded our buying power. It's really, inflation is a very evil thing because it takes no prisoners and it hurts the ones that can least afford it, the working class, us. You know, it doesn't matter for the billionaires and the hedge funds and the wealthy that, eggs is up, rent is up, groceries up, gas is up, because they don't give a shit. They don't care about mortgage rates are up because they buy everything cash over fist. They could give a shit if a 30-year mortgage is at, what is it, 6.5, 6.75, because they're buying that property for $5 million in cash. And then they'll refinance it later when the Fed inevitably cuts interest rates. But yeah, they don't care. Big Mac went up to, you know, $13, except unless you're Donald Trump, maybe. But inflation it's their way to weaken the middle class, the working class. And again, the Fed is something you have to pay attention to. They're setting us up for a rug pull. So moving forward, what do we do from here? What do we do? What do I do now? And maybe you guys can, try to follow me with this. But I do think that we never left the bull run that might have started 2023 into 2024 and into 2025. I think that huge tariff tantrum in April, that was, if you look at it, it bounced off all the significant supports off the 200-day moving average for a lot of different stocks in the S&P. And if you looked at it from peak to trough, it was like a minus 20% correction, right? That's a healthy correction, they say. So we never really left the bull market. I know everyone and their mom is bracing for this giant recession and that, oh my God, we're in a bear market. You see the Wall Street bets, they're buying puts, and they were showing gain porn for a little while with their putt gains and their shorts. It was short-lived though, because as fast as it happened, we're right back to, again, I was down 500K, now I hit a million, and I think we only go up from here. And you have to try to ignore the noise, right? Like, don't fall for the distractions. That's another common theme you'll hear me say. Just look at what's in front of you, and that's real. So what's real? We hit VIX 60, the volatility index, for an extended period of time. That is insane. So if you're at under 20 VIX, that's kind of normal. 20 plus VIX is like, okay, there's something going on. 25 VIX is bad. 30 VIX is like, oh, fucking A, what the fuck is going on? That's bad. 40 VIX is like, what the hell, is World War III starting? So when you're in 50 VIX, 60 VIX, it's basically Armageddon. And without fail, if you manage to grab your balls and buy something when the VIX is 60, you made money, guaranteed. Because what is another name for the VIX is the fear index. That means everyone's scared, and we're humans, we're emotional. When we're scared, we panic sell. And that's what a lot of people did. They panic sold. They said it was the highest volume of 401k trading volume in I think history. So that means anyone with TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, or anyone who hates Trump, they probably said, oh, fuck him, he's probably going to drive us to the worst recession ever, I'm going into cash. And a lot of people panic sold in their brokerages as well. And look what happened, they got left behind. If you missed these past few weeks, you're so behind right now. They say the biggest moves can happen on any given day. That's why I say the best thing to do is just do nothing, just stay invested. And that is so true for this past month. If you just did nothing, your retirement accounts, your portfolios are probably slightly green for the year. Compared to if you sold at the bottom, the very bottom, you're down like 20%. And don't get me wrong, it was fucking tough. I did a very quick futures day trade with ES. If you don't know, it's /ES. It's a futures for the S&P 500, and also I did the Russell Index RTY. And I'm like, oh, let me just dip my toes in. What was meant to be just a few $100 day trade ended up being spiraled out of control into a 50K loss, and it fucking handicapped my ass. Because of that, I had to carefully manage my buying power so I didn't get margin called. So I was very limited in what I could buy. But what I did manage to buy something. I loaded up on some Tesla 2-year leaps. Those are call options that are long term. And I bought 800 shares of AMD, picked up a little bit of Chainlink. But that's it. I couldn't do much. If you weren't all in cash before that drastic drop, you made out like a bandit. But unfortunately, it caught a lot of us off guard. I have $1 million. What my holdings are as follows, just in case you guys are curious. I have around 600K in Tesla. That's a combination of shares and leaps. I have about 100K in AMD now, and then I have 130K in Chainlink, and then I have a bunch of various meme stocks. I have some Unity, I have some GameStop, and I'm still in the IWM, which is a small caps ETF, because I'm keeping my eye on small caps, because if the Fed starts printing and cuts interest rates, small caps are the ones that, they outperform the mega caps. So that's the plan. The plan going forward is stay invested, stay long. I think we're going to keep going up, and we have to take Trump, what he says, at face value. They say that, I saw this meme the other day, and it's so true. It's investing before 2025 is you look at all the charts, you look at fundamentals, you do all the analytics, But now 2025, stock trading is all about just checking the True Social posts from Trump. So it's very accurate. Like, Trump says something and you just listen. At this point, we have to listen to what he says and just believe him at this point, because he even said it in that when he visited Saudi Arabia. He was in a press conference and he said, "Yeah, I got a lot of flack. I said this is a great time to buy. It's a great time to buy, but I got a lot of flack. People were criticizing me, but they're not criticizing me now." And yeah, if you just listened to him and bought, you did very well. And he said, and the stock market is going to go a lot higher from here. So I believe him at this point. Remains to be seen if the Fed and Jerome Powell are on the same page as Trump. I know there's a lot of public spat going on because Trump is always calling J Powell an idiot and stuff, but I think that's for show. If Jerome Powell and the Fed cut rates in June, it's moon mission. We're going way up. All your crypto and your shit coins and everything's gonna go up, small caps and stuff. And this press conference, one big takeaway is he said, basically they said 2% inflation rate. We're okay not hitting 2%. Maybe 3% is okay. If 3% is okay, they've basically achieved their target, because I think the CPI was at like 2.8 core CPI. You have to stay invested, because going back to what I was saying before, $1 million isn't what it used to be. Like, a house in my area is insane. I couldn't even afford my own house right now if I had to buy it today. And rent is still ridiculously high for a lot of people. Groceries, I feel like when inflation and prices go up, do they ever really come back down? I'm old enough to remember when a Big Mac value meal was like $4.99. Now it's like $15, and it's insane. And then they're getting people to do these ridiculous like financing things. You guys know Affirm? It's like you can finance anything now. You can finance a clothing, a pair of slacks. Costco just teamed up with Affirm, so you can finance groceries. That is a bad sign. That's gonna, if we're not already in a bubble, that will form a giant bubble of just bad debt that's gonna have bad repercussions. But that's, people are, Gen Z and millennials, they're in this YOLO mentality, like, I'm never gonna be able to buy a house, and that's understandable. So I was like, I might as well enjoy a vacation on credit card debt. Might as well buy this nice TV or new phone on credit card debt. I think it's going to be a rude awakening, but that's way later. So my basic thesis is fucking pump and dump, right? They're setting us up for a big rug pull. I think euphoria is going to hit retail traders and the market, so stay invested. But my long-term thesis is going to set up an epic rug pull. We might be in store for something that's like similar to like Japan in the 80s, where it took them a decade to recover. Honestly, I hope I'm wrong. For me personally, I have a number in my mind that I'm comfortable with hitting, and then I'm going to start trimming and taking profits and taking money off the table, because you can never time it. Like, you can't time the bottom, you can't time the top. You have to set a target in your head for whatever stock it is or in your portfolio and just stick to it. And you sell it, and then who gives a fuck what it does after? You have to do that, I know I was bitching about Palantir last video, but it's okay. I don't really care about Palantir anymore. I'm gonna do a couple more videos because I saw there was a couple people interested in Chainlink, which I'm surprised. Chainlink goes very under the radar, but that's my second highest holding and one of my biggest convictions, even though I'm not a huge fan of crypto in general. And I'll go into why later. And then obviously I'll make a more in-depth video about Tesla and why, just detail my thoughts and journey on it, because Tesla is a roller coaster. Like, they shook out everyone. If you're still in it, Tesla, as an investor, give yourself some round of applause, because that shit is very hard to hold. Certified diamond hands. Good for you. Okay, guys, I'll see you in another video, and please comment and like and subscribe. Like, it's pretty motivating to get some comments. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I think I want to keep doing this, and what I really want is to be able to bounce ideas and opinions and have discussion with you guys, because sometimes my brain works a little weird and my way of thinking is very odd these days. And I would love to find people, a community to talk with, and that has like-minded, you know, just ideas and stuff. So, all right, guys, I'll see you later. Peace.